When people hear Ethereum, most assume it's basically another Bitcoin with a different name and a lower price. That's wrong. And the misunderstanding has real consequences. Either people pass on one of the most important computing platforms ever built, or they buy it expecting digital money and don't understand what they own. The price gap is part of what creates the confusion. Bitcoin trades around $80,000 per coin. Ether trades around $2,000. So Ethereum looks like the cheaper alternative, the digital silver to Bitcoin's gold. That mental model is wrong, but it's wrong in a useful way. Thinking through why it's wrong is how you actually understand what Ethereum is. Ethereum is not trying to be Bitcoin. Bitcoin is trying to be money. Ethereum is trying to be a computer. Here's what that means. Bitcoin's blockchain records one kind of thing: transfers of Bitcoin from one address to another. It's a global ledger that tracks ownership of a single asset, and it's designed to do that one job extremely well. Securely, transparently, and without anyone being able to change the rules. Ethereum's blockchain does something different. It records computer programs and their outcomes. You can write a program, deploy it to the network, and anyone in the world can interact with it. Every node in the world runs the same code and agrees on the result. These programs are called smart contracts. The name is a bit misleading. They're not contracts in the legal sense. They're just code running on a globally distributed network. No single entity can shut down a specific contract or change its behavior, though the network itself evolves through coordinated decisions by developers, validators, and the broader community. That's the core innovation. Bitcoin proved you could have decentralized money. Ethereum proved you could have decentralized computation. A few key things to understand. First, the asset itself. Ether, or ETH, is the cryptocurrency that runs the network. But Ether is not Ethereum. Ethereum is the platform. Ether is the fuel. When someone says they bought Ethereum, they really mean they bought Ether. The distinction matters because the value proposition is different. Bitcoin's value comes from its scarcity and monetary properties. Ether's value comes from demand for the platform's computation. Every smart contract that runs on Ethereum requires Ether to pay for its execution. Second, gas. When you use Ethereum to run a program or send a transaction, you pay a fee in Ether called gas. The fee compensates the network for the computing resources your transaction consumes. Complex programs cost more gas. Simple transfers cost less. When the network is busy, gas prices rise. When it's quiet, they fall. This fee market is how Ethereum allocates limited block space among competing demands. Third, how Ethereum is secured. Bitcoin uses proof of work, where computers compete to solve puzzles and earn the right to add blocks. Ethereum switched to proof of stake in September 2022 in an event called the Merge. Instead of mining, validators lock up Ether as collateral. If they validate honestly, they earn rewards. If they cheat, they lose their stake. The shift reduced Ethereum's energy consumption by about 99% overnight. Fourth, the ecosystem. Because Ethereum can run arbitrary programs, an enormous ecosystem of applications has been built on top of it. Decentralized finance, where you can lend, borrow, and trade without traditional banks. NFTs, which were popularized on Ethereum. Decentralized identity systems. Prediction markets. Games. Most of what people refer to as Web3 runs on Ethereum or on similar platforms inspired by it. But Ethereum has trade-offs that Bitcoin doesn't have. Complexity creates risk. Smart contracts can have bugs, and bugs in financial contracts can drain billions of dollars in minutes. That's happened multiple times in decentralized finance. The system is harder to verify. Bitcoin's rules are simple enough that thousands of independent developers can audit the entire code base. Ethereum's expanding feature set makes that harder. Programmability invites complexity that complicates the value proposition. Bitcoin says, "I am money." Ethereum says, "I am a platform for programs that may include money." The first is easier to evaluate. This shows up in the market. The ETH to BTC ratio, which is how much one Ether is worth in Bitcoin terms, has fallen to 10-month lows recently. Bitcoin has outperformed Ether since the spot Bitcoin ETFs launched in 2024. Investors are voting in real time on whether Ethereum's broader scope is worth the additional complexity. So when someone asks you what Ethereum is, the short answer is this: a decentralized computer that anyone can use to run code, with Ether as the asset that powers it. Whether that's worth more than Bitcoin's narrower focus on money is exactly the question the crypto market hasn't resolved. What you've now seen is the actual platform. Smart contracts, gas, proof of stake, an ecosystem of applications, none of which require a trusted middleman. Real trade-offs, real unresolved questions about how the broader thesis plays out. People who tell you Ethereum is Bitcoin 2.0 are flattening the difference. People who tell you Bitcoin is obsolete now that Ethereum exists are flattening it the other way. The accurate take is that they're different things solving different problems, with very different bets about what matters in the future. That's Ethereum. We cover crypto on the days that actually matter, with explainers when it helps. Hit subscribe so you don't miss it. We'll see you next time.